Husband insists on taking calls in garage, gut tells mom to flip Workbench. When his wife Aid found out about his secret after months of taking precautions, Anthony didn't know what to do. He had been trying to keep it concealed for almost a year now. But now, the truth is finally coming out. How would his wife react to the finding? Would she be able to accept what he had been doing for all this time? Sometimes, a family can look absolutely impeccable from the exterior. The Roberts, we won't disclose their real names to preserve their privacy, were one of those families. Anthony, the husband, had a restaurant. His spouse Aid was a housewife. They had 3 kids, aged 3, 5, and 7. They had been living for all their lives in the suburbs of Buffalo. All the neighbors knew them and appreciated them. But there was something they didn't know about them. More often than not, families keep skeletons in the closet. Sometimes it's only one member of the family who keeps those skeletons concealed from everyone else's eyes, including those of their own family members. And when it comes to Roberts, it was Anthony who had a secret. But it would take some time to be brought to the light. It was something that happened gradually. It all started when Anthony temporarily closed his restaurant due to the pandemic restrictions. He didn't expect those to last for too long, and he wasn't worried about a temporary lack of income. He had enough savings from years of hard work. So he decided to just wait it out. He spent his time relaxing at his home, playing with his children, and watching sports on TV. But he was in for a surprise. After some months, the situation with the pandemic didn't seem to be getting any better. The family's savings lasted for a while. But soon enough, they found themselves praying for the pandemic to end so Anthony could go back to work. But the moment when Anthony would finally be able to reopen his restaurant didn't seem to be any closer. And Robert started to worry. Finally, Anthony came up with a solution. He couldn't afford to just sit with his arms crossed and wait until the situation got better. He would need to start a different business venture, at least until he could reopen the restaurant. So he decided to start selling food items online. Delicacies, wine, and even his own special bottled tomato sauce. They were all products that he used for the meals in his restaurant, and he expected them to have good reception in the market. Anthony hoped everything would work out, and his family prayed for the best. Anthony's new business took a while to take off, but soon enough, he started to see a profit. People were interested in his products. A lot of his clients were die-hard fans of his restaurant who felt sorry to see him struggle. But he also got the attention of plenty of new customers. His special tomato sauce was even featured on the recommendations page of a magazine for gourmets. The family was delighted. Everything seemed too good to be true. Anthony was now making even more money than he ever did with the restaurant. He received plenty of calls from shops and clients who were interested in his products. And for some reason, he always took those calls in the garage. At first, the family didn't think anything of that particular habit of Anthony. Little did they know that it meant more than what they thought. The money kept coming in. And the funniest thing about it was that Anthony didn't even seem to be working that much. He was still spending most of his time relaxing around the house and watching sports on TV. Sometimes he would go to the garage to take some calls, and that was it. As happy as she was for her husband's sudden success, Aid thought there was something fishy about it. So one day, she decided to observe him while he was taking one of his calls. Standing by the other side of the garage door, Aid tried to listen to the content of Anthony's conversation on the phone. And the first thing that surprised her was that he wasn't talking about food, he seemed to be talking about sports. She heard a few names of sports teams and players. Anthony finally finished the conversation. And Aid hadn't heard a single name of a food item. What was going on? After her husband left the garage, she entered the room. She was about to find out about Anthony's little secret. She didn't know what she expected to find there. And at first, she didn't see anything out of the ordinary. But for some reason, she felt some sort of call from the workbench where Anthony used to sit for his phone calls. She looked under it. There was a notebook there. She opened it. It was all numbers and names of sports teams and players. It seemed like the notebook of a bookmaker. Aid took the notebook and immediately confronted Anthony about it. At first, Anthony didn't know what to say. He tried to pretend not to know what that notebook was or why it was under the workbench in the garage. But after a while, he gave up and confessed the truth. He hadn't just been selling food items and tomato sauce. He had also been working as a bookie. The closure of his restaurant and the family's difficult financial situation had pushed Anthony to take up a new occupation. He had found a way to make a profit out of his love of sports. He had been setting up bets for months. And he had made a lot of money with it. More than half of the income that the family had been seeing during the past few months didn't come from selling food. They came from illegal gambling. When she finally knew the truth, Aid was conflicted. On one part, what her husband had been doing was illegal, which could have brought him some big problems. But at that time, the family really needed the money. If it wasn't for Anthony's bookmaking activities, God knows what would have happened to her and the children. But she finally took a decision. And she gave Anthony an ultimatum. She demanded that Anthony give up on the bookmaking before it was too late and the police got involved. He had made enough money with it and the Roberts wouldn't have any financial worries in some time. Anthony invested most of his earnings into his restaurant and his delicacies business. And after a while, he could open his restaurant again and never needed to do anything else in his life.